How many hours and years of our lives do we spend on work? For nearly all of us, we spend 30 plus years and 1/3 of our days in our vocation. More time perhaps than we spend at rest or at play. But this isn't a problem. Why? Because work is good. Work needs to be integrated deeply into our lives and must be in line with our most important goals and values. And if it is, we have a far more complete and fulfilling life experience. Welcome to the How People Work podcast, where we explore the intersection of how humans think and act and how they apply themselves to their work. When you understand both of these things, you'll be equipped to be insightful, compassionate, and compelling leaders. Welcome back to the How People Work podcast. I'm joined by my co-host Jason Murray. As usual, my name's Jordan Peace. This is a special holiday edition.
All right.
Because we're that established of a podcast that we have special holiday edition.
I love the holidays.
It's kind of fun. Yeah. I kind of like just seeing it here on the page. Special episode, holiday. Today we're going to talk about gifting. No surprise, because we're talking about the holidays. It is very late in November. We're recording, the day before Thanksgiving, 2024.
Yeah.
Happy Thanksgiving, Jason.
You too.
Yeah.
Have you started decorating?
I have not started decorating. We intended to start decorating and got into a long conversation about our children instead and didn't do any decorating.
That sounds great.
That sounds great. But we set aside time to decorate and utterly failed at doing it. But what we're going to do more this weekend, we typically decorate after Thanksgiving, like the day after Thanksgiving, because we do have some specific Thanksgiving decorations that need their own space.
Okay.
They need to really shine.
Yeah, we just did away with that.
Oh,
we were just like straight to Christmas.
It's Christmas.
Yeah, we celebrate Christmas.
Halloween's over.
And
it's
we're
all.
like, bring it out. It makes us feel good.
We do have some decorations here in the Fringe Clubhouse. Got our tree up and some other banners and things celebrating various holidays that our employees celebrate. But we're going to talk about how we've been doing holiday gifting at Fringe, how we might recommend some others do holiday gifting.
Yep.
Just think about how to do that. I mean, just to kick it off, I just think it's really important that companies do holiday gifts, period. It's a season of generosity. It's a season of giving. It's a season where you give and receive with your loved ones. Mm-hmm. And so when an employer participates in that, it's hard not to feel the love.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like I have a fun way to start this.
Let's kick it.
Yeah. What's the best gift for Christmas that you've given your wife?
Oh, man. I should preface this by saying my wife and I just do stockings for each other.
Okay.
We actually don't do gifts per se. But it is kind of fun because we both abuse the stocking budget really significantly. I think we're supposed to spend $100 a piece.
So it has to fit in the stocking?
It's supposed to, but at this point what I've figured out is that you can have things hang way out of the stocking and then just get a stocking cap or something that, as a gift, like a little beanie, and put it over top the stuff that's hanging out, and then you can make the stocking 30-40% bigger.
Didn't you get a massage table or something?
Oh, I did. Was that Christmas? I did get her a massage table, which my family thought was a really awkward gift, but because she opened it in front of them, so maybe that was mine. But it was fantastic. My wife loves to get a massage. She says, and I think she means it, I'm going to choose to believe it, that I am the best masseuse that she's ever experienced.
Yeah, she's never been anywhere else. So.
Well, she has. She's had professional massages actually, but she prefers me.
Yeah.
So. That is a thing.
That's fair.
Yeah, I thought that was a good
And it fits in a stocking. So.
Yes, but it fits in a stocking quite easily. Only weighs, 150 pounds and is about 6 by 8, or 4 by 8, something like that. What about you?
I tried to text Morgan before we started to ask.
You expect me to turn the question back on you?
I did, but probably the best was the engagement ring. That I got her.
Hard to top.
Which wasn't exactly for Christmas, but it was Christmas time because we got engaged on December 15th.
Oh, close enough.
When I was 19 years old.
Yeah. And 19 is definitely close enough.
Yeah. So it was basically a Christmas gift for her at that time. But I did it up. It was one of those things that you're trying to be romantic.
Yes.
And you just peak too early. I had this whole like dinner that was like made by friends. We had this dinner with like people singing to us and like the whole thing. And then I had a horse with a carriage like pick us up on the street in front of the house.
I feel like if there's anyone listening with their husband right now that she just punched him in the arm because
I've
the
gotten
story's
punched in
probably
the arm.
not as good as what you just said.
No, it was epic.
It was epic.
And I've gotten punched in the arm because I've failed to live up to the expectation that was set. But
thus peaked
it was epic.
Got
The horse and carriage and Christmas lights in downtown Richmond and the whole nine. So that was probably the best one I ever did.
I did similar things. You know, you go too hard, too fast, and you set the wrong expectations. But speaking of, we have done that at times as employers as well, I think, with our employees, that we kind of got real generous, real hard, real fast from a standpoint of gift giving. But I wanted to talk through some of that today. We'll get into at Fringe in particular and what we've done and some really practical tips. But why holiday gifts to begin with? One thing that we were discussing, a 2023 survey by Snappy, which is a snappy name for a company, revealed that 75% of employees hope to receive a holiday gift from their employer, with 57% of those viewing it as a sign of gratitude and appreciation. That tracks. That makes sense for me.
Yeah.
I'm surprised it's not 100% of employees hope to receive a holiday gift from their employer.
Yeah, it seems higher than I would have
The hope
guessed.
or the viewing it as a sign of gratitude?
The hope.
Yeah.
I actually might have seen those reversed a little bit because I feel like when you look at the news or when you look at studies, I feel like there's a lot of cynicism about how employees feel about their employer.
Yeah.
And if you think about, like, who do you want gifts from? You typically want it from people that you think care about you.
Yes.
And so the fact that many employees would hope to receive a gift from their employer says that, well, they hope that their employer cares. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think it goes in the face a little bit of some of the cynicism that's out there about how employees feel about their companies and things like that. So I take it as a good sign.
That's a good sign.
I take it as a good sign.
Maybe it's a more optimistic view of the world during the holidays. Maybe a way to look at that.
Yeah.
And then, of course, 78% reported increased job satisfaction after receiving a meaningful gift. So we'll talk about meaningful gifts versus gifts that maybe could do more harm to the relationship than good, because I actually think that's a possible outcome of giving a gift as well.
Yeah.
And I've given, in my personal and professional life, I've probably given some not the right gifts at the same time that haven't helped. But that's an interesting stat too. The type of gift, the thing that's given, I think really, really matters. I mean, another stat we read, 88% of employees prefer gift cards or options that allow them to choose ultimately what they like. So if it's, hey, here's $100 to Amazon or Target or something like that, then you're not exactly buying them a gift. You're buying them the ability to buy a gift of their own, which I get. You know, you want choice. And, you know, if your company's large enough, you don't really have much of a choice but to present them with choice, because you're not going to know specifically what each and every employee cares about and what they value. So let's get into kind of our own personal experience with this. So the well, I guess I'll ask this: have you ever had a good experience as an employee? I mean, before Fringe, obviously, because you know we're going to talk about that. But has there ever been any good gift giving, holiday gift giving?
Yeah, we were talking about that before we started recording, and I was having a hard time coming up with one because working in nonprofit, there wasn't a lot of money going around in the one that I was with in particular.
Mine either.
And so I don't recall there being like anything really substantive that stands out is in the way of like
a nice note,
a holiday gift. Yeah. Like meaningful things, like something touching.
Yeah, it
like
doesn't always have to cost money.
Not a gift. And then, you know, where we met at Northwestern, you know, we were sort of doing our own thing. So I don't recall exactly there being like gifts that were really done with intention. Holiday parties.
Yeah.
Yes.
Holiday parties.
Yeah. some good stories from those.
Yes. But we never got the privilege of, getting enrolled in something like a Jelly of the Month Club.
Right.
For example.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the gift that keeps on giving.
The whole year round.
Yeah.
We just had to throw some Christmas vacation in today. So at Fringe, though, I think we've done a really nice job. I know we're founded the company and we're patting ourselves on the back a little bit, but I'm not actually trying to pat us on the back, because one of the things we did early on is that we hired an employee experience designer who thought a lot, designed around how do we do generosity well? How do we do gift giving well? How do we empower choice? And of course, Fringe is all about choice. Our platform itself, of course, giving people the choice of lifestyle benefits and kind of choosing what's most meaningful to their own family. So in that same vein, we wanted to do that. So the first year, I remember, so 2020 was the first year that we had an actual holiday gift. Actually, I take that back. 2019, you remember what we did? It was that was the company.
Backpacks,
Timbuktu backpacks had a design your own, and and so we just gave, I don't know, maybe a $200 credit or something like that, or just whatever it costs to design your own bag. They were fancy backpacks. And I mean, I've been using that thing every day since.
Yeah, it's great.
It looks brand new.
That's right over there.
They're not. This episode brought to you by Timbuktu. No, I'm kidding. It's not. It's just a great bag. that one's for free in terms of advertising. And then the next year, again, we were able to keep it really personal and customized. We did these handmade record clocks. Do you remember those? Mm-hmm. We took records, people's favorite musicians, and then put little hour and minute hands on it, and turn it into, put a battery power and turn it into a clock.
What did yours have on it?
Oh, I had oh gosh, I think I had Frank Sinatra.
That's what I was gonna say.
I think I had Sinatra.
That was what I would.
Which was just a perfect holiday one too.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a lot of types of music, but jazz at
That's
Christmas
what I would have
just
guessed.
kind of
Yeah.
it just works. So that was cool. But that worked because we were small.
Yeah.
We could know each and every employee. We could know their musical taste. We could
Right.
sit and, design these clocks and build them ourselves. And that was a cool thing to be able to do. And then we grew a little bit. And this, I think, was actually my favorite, was in 2021, where we did, we gave employees, essentially gave them time.
Yeah.
From a professional concierge that could do any number of different tasks on their behalf to kind of give them time back in their day. Mm-hmm. And many of us, including me, chose to do gift wrapping.
Right.
And I shouldn't say one of, my very least favorite thing about the holidays is wrapping gifts. I'm not good at it. I feel like I just fat finger it. I don't have the dexterity to do it well.
Yeah.
And I bet you do. You have great handwriting and you have great dexterity. But not a
I'm
gift.
known for it.
Yeah. Are you really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You learn something new about your co-host every episode. All right. Well,
gift wrapping.
You should send me some.
Yeah. I mean, compared to my wife, it's
right. Yeah.
nothing to speak of.
Well,
but,
she's special.
Yeah.
Decorative.
She grew up. Her first job for years was at a craft store.
Oh wow.
So she she's got it down.
Different animal, but I personally loved getting gifted that, because it didn't just impact me, it impacted my wife, it impacted even our kids, because instead of spending however many hours it takes for us to wrap gifts every year, we spend them doing other things and creating other traditions and having a great time with our family. So that was a meaningful one to me. And then also kind of experientially, we had those fireside kits.
Yeah.
Remember, it came with the candle and the Fringe branded blanket.
Oh, yeah.
And the fancy s'mores kit.
Yep.
And we had a great time doing that as well.
I just used my blanket last night.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was watching Loki with my daughter, and
nice.
That's my go-to blanket.
What season of Loki are you on? I feel like we're supposed to keep this special episode brief, but I'm curious.
Yeah. So I've not watched season 2 yet.
Oh.
Real fans are probably mortified, but I've been doing the whole Marvel series with my daughter, who's 15 now. And we started when she was 14, and so we've done timeline order. Nice. We've watched all of the movies through Shang-Chi.
Okay.
And then
so good.
Now we're watching Loki, so we're getting into the mini series episodes and stuff like that. So
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
but
it.
the blanket came up because I was sitting on the sofa with her.
Yeah.
Yeah, sharing the blanket. From
And
that
that's
gift
why, and that's
so many
why,
years ago.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, you're one of the founders of the company. You're not like itching to leave or anything. But like, if you weren't, if you were, a regular employee and you've been here 2 years and you're sitting with your daughter and you got your Fringe branded comfy blanket, I mean, it's meaningful.
It's a great blanket.
Yeah, it's a great blanket. And then 2022 and 2023, we just straight up gave like a gift guide. Remember, we kind of used some of the brands that we utilize in our marketplace and said like, hey, here's a bunch that you could select from.
Yep.
And I think one year I did like the liquor subscription, like Flaviar, however you pronounce it. That was fun, and that was a good time too. But overall, the point is personalized, thoughtful, giving choice, giving something meaningful, something lasting, something that will help create memories or like enhance an employee's holiday experience, right? And tie some of that value back to the employer.
Yeah.
Right? We're trying to build loyalty, show love, show generosity. And I think missing out on the opportunity to do that in a season of giving would be a big mistake. So I think we've done that pretty well.
Yeah, I think so. Well, I think there's this interesting thing too, and it came to mind earlier when you were talking about just why we give gifts and this idea that like employees want it, and then there's sort of these stats that companies will put out because like it increases job satisfaction and this and that. So it sort of like comes back to the bottom line, which feels a little hard sometimes, but at the same time, like there are these studies, and we've talked about this before. I think in the first season of the podcast about like positive affect and intrinsic motivation, and some of these studies that have been done where just little things, little gifts that somebody receives that gives you even just the slightest boost in like positive emotion and how you feel, even in that moment, benefits things like productivity and your state of mind, in the period following. And so like those kinds of things matter. And I think it's healthy in relationships too. I mean, coming back to the idea of, who do you want to receive a gift from? Right. From people that you think care about you, and why? Because it benefits the relationship. It generates that positive affect and that feeling that you have towards one another. And I think there's something to that reciprocity that you feel too with it. So
I think we need that. I mean, we work together, right? And work works against us in terms of positive affect. Work is hard. Work is stressful. There's challenges that are hard to overcome. There's deadlines that make people nervous. There's boss-employee dynamics where, like there can be a little tension and, and so things like gifts and words of affirmation and like, positive feedback and things like that kind of cut through the noise of a lot of that negative emotion or that angst or that feeling, especially towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
When it's like, Q4 and we got to get to the, we got to finish our KRs and we got to make sure we hit the KPIs and all the acronyms. And it can be a stressful time anyway. So I think it's super important. But you can do it poorly too. And there's one thing I wanted to point out as well, like, here's a great story. So literally yesterday, my daughter asked me like, what's a fountain pen? I don't know where like she got interested in fountain pens, but I was describing fountain pens to her, and she's like looking through the drawer, and I'm like, oh no, we don't have any fountain pens because they're like from the 1800s. But like I got one time from Northwestern Mutual as like a 5-year. I've been there for 5 years, so they sent the Northwestern Mutual fountain pen that must have cost them $40. I don't know, and like. It was like, I mean, it's kind of neat, but even to an 11-year-old, she was like, you worked there for 4 years and all they got you was a pen?
Yeah.
Like she's 11 and she knows that's a bad idea. Like, and I thought, looking back, it kind of was one of the final like straws that broke the camel's back to actually leaving, because it was like, really?
Yeah.
Like I poured my heart and soul into this thing for 5 years.
We talk about that too.
I got a pen.
Like so many of my wife was a teacher, my sister, my mom, my in-laws, so many of my family have been teachers. And in the public school system, there was always this joke that you got your 5-year pin, and the gifts didn't get much better after that. But it was like 5 years, 10 years, 15. It's like you're definitely not teaching for the money. And then, at 5 years after everything you've been through, you get this little pin, branded logo pin of the school system. And it was just sort of this running joke with every teacher of just how bad it was. Because I think it felt, it didn't match the maybe sacrifice that had been made, or it didn't feel appropriate, for the context given.
It's generic too. It's
like everyone
you could give that gift to like pretty much anyone,
right?
Like anyone who like writes things down as part of their job. You know, it's like here's a pen, and I would say even like as narrow as a holiday gift. Don't give everybody the same exact thing.
Yeah.
Like, would you do that to your family? Would you show up to the family like, gift exchange and go, all right, I got the same widget for each and every one of you because I don't see you as individuals and you're not that important.
I got lotto tickets for everyone.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a winner.
And it's like, I mean, they're kind of fun. Like, and I do think a lot of tickets are fun. But at the same time, it's like there's just it doesn't come off like there's been any thought, So not only you're not providing choice, but you're actually just treating everyone in this uniform sense that I don't think helps people feel seen or appreciated.
Yeah, so I think part of what you're capturing is the idea that, differentiating, making people feel like they're individuals. It's part of helping them to feel seen, like they're not just kind of a cog in the wheel, that you see them, you appreciate them, that you put a little bit of thought into it. So it kind of feels similar to things that we talked about, in the early days of Fringe. Is like, why give Fringe versus cash? Like, well, because it means a lot more. Do you give your wife a wad of cash?
Stuff the stocking full of cash?
Right. No.
Don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it.
Don't recommend it.
So that it indicates some thought went into it, and that's, I think, what matters and kind of conveys in the gift.
Yeah, you can't start with horse and carriage and people singing to her and then just throw cash in the stocking, 17 years in. That ain't gonna fly.
Yeah, there's a lot there. Yeah.
So let's close with this, and I know we never do anything overt in terms of pitching our own company, or the podcast is not about that, but maybe help, since you're the head of product, talk about our gifting feature that we just released, why we released it, how it might be useful for, communicating love and appreciation and support of employees. If you could talk about that for a minute, and I think we'll wrap, since this is a short and sweet holiday.
Yeah, episode. Of course. Well, Fringe, I do know many employees at Fringe and outside of Fringe use our product to buy gifts for one another and their family members, because there's just unique and curated things that you might not otherwise think of.
Yeah, our co-founder Isaiah, I think he uses it for the majority of his gift giving.
Yeah, which is great. I love that. Yeah. So that's always there, but we did build a feature recently after talking to a number of users and a number of the managers of the different programs on Fringe, and built a feature to make it easier to send gifts to employees to recognize for holidays, as we're talking about here, or all sorts of other life events and special moments that might be meaningful. And there's just a really fun experience that, it's easy for the manager to send that gift, and it's also fun for the employee to get a special message and to have some excitement and a little bit of an unboxing experience, if you will, when they receive that gift through Fringe. So. Yeah,
it's a good time. It's reflective of the ethos of what we care about as founders and what our company expressly cares about in our values. That's right. As stated very publicly. So cool, Jason. Good episode.
Good episode.
You nailed it today. Thanks for listening in. I hope this is helpful. Hit us up on LinkedIn if you have questions about holiday gifting. I can connect you with our employee experience designer, who could give you a million great ideas of how to go about doing that with your own company if you're in a role that's responsible for such a thing. But thanks for listening. We'll be back shortly for another episode of us philosophizing about the world. This is how people work.
Bye, everyone.